All right, here we go. We are starting into year planning specifically on around the subject of ELA, but what I'm going to talk to you about around year planning is applicable to every subject area. So you will not see Lorley, Jason, Colleen, Christy talk about year planning because I'm going to in this class, but know that everything that you learn about year planning for ELA, you can apply to math, social science, any subject. So keep that in mind. Laura Lee is going to be focusing on unit planning. Laura Lee and Jason are going to be focusing on unit planning, and then all of us will dive into lesson planning with, of course, some subject-specific ideas. So how do you begin to plan for ELA? Hopefully you don't look like this fellow. Hopefully you, after this lesson, will have a sense of what's going on. Okay, so let's start with the purpose of year planning. Basically, you need to be year planning because you want to have a sense of direction. You need to be fulfilling objectives because that's your requirement. And it's required. Lots of administrators will ask for a year plan, usually by the end of September. Lots of administrators won't, but they assume that you have it because you need to kind of have an idea where you're going. Considerations when you're doing a year plan. First of all, you want to think about the student ability and level. This will be a little tricky when you first start, but once you know kind of who's coming to you, it is much easier to plan, to make a year plan for them. Okay, you want to be creating authentic experiences as readers and writers, not just busy work. You want to bring in your interests and expertise, because if you are totally into Greek mythology, you should do Greek mythology as a unit because your passion will be contagious. You want to think about authentic interdisciplinary studies. What can you do, kind of like our Cyprus experience or kind of like our upcoming Medalta experience? How can you bring cross-curricular objectives together? And of course, you have to be thinking about the Alberta Education Program studies. Content, what you should have on your year plan. Well, you want to have all the subject outcomes. So for most of you, there are around 90 to 95 outcomes. So you want to have all of those outcomes. You want to, if you have any integrated subjects, you need those other outcomes from math or science, social, whichever you're bringing in. You want to have units or integrated projects figured out. You want to have your daily work figured out. What does that work look like? And you want to have your programs. So what kind of programs are you using? You should have your actual days, like September 3rd to 25th, and number of days, 15 days, that kind of thing. Don't worry, we're gonna look through all this. Ultimately, you're going to fill in the assessment portion, but just not this year. So on all of the year plan documents, you will see assessment grayed out. So you don't have to worry about assessment this year until you've taken Colleen A's assessment course. And if you refer to anything, any references or resources, you put them at the bottom of the year plan. Okay, the format, I'm going to introduce one format to you so that we don't get bogged down in the format. So you really jump into how to do it versus trying to figure out which format you like. There are lots of formats out there. You can use mind map kind of things. You can use circles. You can use very linear. I'm going to introduce a linear one to you. I found that it's had the most success. But that's kind of the overall what is happening in a year plan. Okay, remember I talked to you last week about some of the documents. So here is the document that we looked at last week, the one that has all of the objectives from K to 9. This is the Learn Alberta site that I said I would give to you. It's grade by grade objectives. I would use this link for your year planning assignment because if you are, the year plan assignment, particularly for you, is going to focus on your practicum grade. So look at your particular practicum grade in here. Also, here we go with, here are all the illustrated examples. Again, just have a look. If you go, I don't understand what this objective is, have a look at these particular illustrated examples. You may want to just stop right now and have a look through any of these resources. It might just help to just take a pause, look at them, so that as we go forward, you know kind of what's happening. Okay, so I, however, am going to continue on. I'm going to look at the year plan exemplar. Okay, so I'm just going to open up my screen a little bit here so you can, I think I can do this. Oh, I can't do that. How exciting is that? Okay, well, I'll just move mine in here. Okay, so this is the unit plan template. Sorry, the year plan template, my mistake. The year plan template that you are going to use for your assignment 1. Basically, you have the grade. Sorry, you have the grade, there we go, and the subject. Across the top, you have daily work. That for ELA are things like calendar time, sharing time, dear time, drop everything and read time. You also have program work. And remember 371, where we looked at specific, like Fontes and Pinnell, we looked at Daily 5. These are resources that are, excuse me, pre-made and that you will pick and choose some things out of, but that's what I mean by program work. Then you have units. So what I want you to do is, as I'm going through this, think about units that you have either done or that you have seen done out in your practicum, or you just know from your own research that these are particular units in ELA. So for me, what I did was, this is ongoing here for date and days, and this might be daily. You might not end up doing this every single day, but it's going to not be a specific time and then have an end time. So then we have, I'm going to do a unit on fractured fairy tales. I'm going to do that from September 4th to the 29th. That's actually 19 days. Okay, so that's the actual, there are 19 days between, school days between September 4th and 29th. Then I'm going to do a writing competition from October 2nd to November 6th, 25 days. Getting the idea, I'm just going to cruise across here. We have a podcast creation. Then I have an integrated unit. These integrated units, when we look at, they can be anywhere. They can be anywhere in the year. They don't have to be at the end. They don't have to be together. They can be anywhere. So I'm going to look at Alberta Amazing Race. So I'm going to link this one. This is my integrated, basically to social studies, but I'll bring in some math and science as well. Then I'm going to do a reader's theater performance and creation. Keep that in mind because I'm going to base my unit and lesson plan off that. Then poetry, and then my final integrated unit is Settling Alberta, and that's I'm going to take my kids to Medalta, and we're going to do some community classroom. Again, ultimately, in a year plan, you will do this assessment, but not right now, because what we found was it just got confusing. Okay, so basically what you're going to do then is, I have, on the template, you'll see I've given you some of the headings. What I want you to do is I want you to write out all of the objectives on the side. Do put letters beside them. So these are all of the bullet points. So you're going to pull all the bullet points for your particular grade and put them here. Do letter them even though there are not letters in the program of studies. Okay, there's not letters in the program size, but letter them because you will need it later in your unit and lesson planning, and you will thank yourself. Okay, so what is going to happen is you're basically going to go through and you're just going to put an X by the unit compared to the objective, and you're going to say this unit will fulfill this objective. This is the best match that I can think of. Okay, all you have to do is put an X by it. Right now, you don't have to do any more with it than put an X by it. So I'm just going to kind of go through these. So program work, Daily 5 literacy plays, I believe that it is going to help, it's going to help me fulfill this objective of comparing new ideas, information, experiences to prior knowledge and experiences. Okay. I believe that the podcast creation is also going to fulfill that. And I believe that under 1.2, use talk notes, personal writing, and representing to record and reflect on ideas, information, and experience. Oh, and experiences. Let's try a D there. And experiences. I'm going to be able to fulfill that through the podcast creation and performance. That's what you're going to do on the year plan. So you can see that I just went through and then I just put X's in where I thought. Keep in mind that a 10 to 15 day, I think I said like 8 to 10 objectives, and 15 to 30 days, about 10 to 15. I can't remember my exact, I have the number somewhere. Let me just check here. No, I can't find them right this second. But it's in the assignment 1. Okay, so that's an exemplar of a year plan. So I'm going to show you, I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to show you, yes, save, no, don't save. I will do that in another document. Okay, so now I'm going to go through all of these. We'll get to those eventually. Here we go. Here is the lesson plan template. So this is under lesson 2, and this is the template that you will use for assignment 1 or for creating any year plan that you come to. So again, here's your daily work, program work, unit, day dates, and here are all of the general outcomes, and then all the subheadings here. Just keep adding in lines for the particular subheadings so that you can put in all those bullet points. Okay, I'm going to flip back to my PowerPoint now, and we're going to continue on. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to brainstorm ELA units through which you can fulfill ELA curricular outcomes for your practicum grade. Now, don't panic. You're kind of probably going, well, I don't know any units. I don't know any units to fulfill this. Remember the podcast that you listened to, the Spark Creativity Betsy Potash, on imperfect action? This is where you just have to jump in and go, okay, this is my experience. This is what I know. These are the units that I've either seen happen. Oh, where's my mouse? There we go. Seen happen out in practicums. If I remember grade 4 doing a really cool Greek mythology unit, I'm actually going to just talk to my partner teacher and see what ELA units he or she are doing and research. You guys have spent 2 or 3 years in university learning how to research. You have the skills. Imperfect action. You got to just jump in and go, okay, I remember in my practicum last year, they did fractured fairy tales and it was super cool. And I'm going to do some work. I'm going to do some research on what is fractured fairy tales and do I think that it can fulfill these particular outcomes. I know where you're at in your planning, and so you just have to dive in. You just have to dive in, get a little messy, talk to your colleagues, and come up with some units that you could possibly use there. Okay. When you're thinking about these units, also consider where you're at in your school. This year is a little weird because most schools have to follow a scope and sequence, but generally schools have their own mandates. So River Heights has a very different mandate than Crestwood than St. Louis. So in your year planning, think a little bit about that. Okay. So now what I want you to do is on your own for about 15 to 25 minutes, I want you to listen to assignment 1 video. If you haven't done that already, go back and do that. I want you to contact your grade group colleagues to begin working on assignment. You can use the Collaborate room here. It's open anytime. I want you to start to work through the Alberta Ed curricular objectives. Jot down units specific for your practicum on sticky notes or scrap pieces of paper and bring those on Wednesday so that we can manipulate them. And jot down daily worker programs on your grade or sticky note because we want to be able to work with those. If you don't know who you are working with, here are your colleagues. You will be working with this particular grade assignment.